Hey, man, who's that cat coming down the street?
I don't know, but it sounds to me like that's just the man with the bone.
Sure having himself a ball.
Hey there, it's Leo. Just wanted to chime in on the Timberwolves strategy going into tonight's draft. Say, if Mikal Bridges is getting that kind of return, you got to be tempted to at least kick the tires on a cat trade with the roster flexibility. That could create flipping picks into other assets in an off-season where you're financially strapped and pretty much fighting tooth and nail to try to bring back guys you had playing 5 minutes a game in the playoffs. There's not much flexibility we can do. As much as it sucks and detaching emotion from it, you might have to.
I don't mind that talk back, but I'm not in the camp of trading Karl Anthony Towns because it's, this is for my taste, that there are certain facets of Karl Anthony Towns' professional existence for which I've been waiting for 3 or 4 years. Well, most of them are starting to happen. So it's like, I ain't going to wait through certain things. And then now all of a sudden Anthony's taking a step. Gobert, the Wolves got the right side, at least as of now, of the Gobert trade, and McDaniels is coming together. No, I want Karl Anthony Towns part of that. And I've said for years that Karl Anthony Towns on the right NBA champion is probably a third option at best. And maybe that's the case. Maybe that's who he is. And we can't change what he's paid. It's like the old Joe Mauer conversation. It's like you can't change what he's paid now. So you just got to figure out how to win with it.
Right.
And with Karl, they figured out how to win with it. And Nordo did a really good job during I think it was the Denver series, pointing out at one point when Anthony Edwards was getting just a massive amount of attention. And
all the double teams, and he was having trouble working through it.
And the human nature game was winning too, where he became frustrated as a young man will when things like that happen. Well, it was Karl Anthony Towns who picked the entire thing up for like a quarter and a half, 2.5 quarters, and carried it. Well, then they had to honor it. And when he got the merit of coverage, Edwards won the game. So that's a hand-in-hand situation the best teams in the NBA have. Now, fully, I mean, it's. I'm not going to be a fool here, okay? The Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, hand in hand, is better than ours, and the Brown, Karl Anthony Towns part, that's not close. So I mean, Tatum's better than Edwards, but that's close. Brown and Cat, that's not close. So then you get to the next phase, Derek White and Gobert or McDaniels. All right, we got some work to do there. But the whole thing's close, and Karl's part of it. So, yeah, I just want to stick it out with him.
Well, I think, so when you look at Karl Anthony Towns, he's also entering his 10th season, PA.
Wow.
So, yeah, I know. It's been that long. And so, at this stage of a guy's career, 10th season in, how much growth, how much room is there really to grow? How much room to grow should even be expected as a guy who now is 27, 28 years old and no longer, back in, Flip was still alive and all of that, and just thinking about the promise of this Kentucky superstar. So we can't expect him to grow at this stage.
Sure we can. He grew last year with the reaction over the last couple of years to, and he regresses with this, and Edwards needs to grow with this now too.
That's like a week-by-week thing, though.
Well, yeah, but with Karl, it was a minute-by-minute thing. It's gotten better since Finch got here. The constant complaining about fouls, and I'll just never forget one thing Chris Finch told us during the Phoenix series, is that he sat the entire team down and said, when you complain about fouls, look what happens. And you're there complaining, and now we're 5-on-4.
Right.
I mean, we've talked about the self-confidence or the surrogate father / boss / coach Finch has with these guys to be able to do that in a room with their peers, with their teammates, with their cohorts, and it helped a lot. So in years 8 and 9, we've seen Karl Anthony Towns improve with that. And they're just, he's getting better taking people off the dribble, despite the elbows flying from Maui to Maine. He's on the ground more than any NBA player I've ever seen in my life.
The offensive fouls, he's got some issues when he's getting to the hoop, and you can see it 10 feet away, and the train ain't stopping.
I'm not necessarily looking at the 10th year in the league. I'm more looking at the 20 some odd years of age, where, I mean, it's if you're at your very best professionally at what you do at this age, I mean, that's unfortunate. I mean, I still think that there should be emotional and mental room for him to improve. So, I guess that's what I'm saying.
No, and I'm with you on the maturity angle. I still see, I mean, even in the Mavericks series, he had a couple of different moments. In the game they won, he had, the early foul trouble, and ultimately the Wolves were trying to close out that game without Cat really being a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So the fouling for me in moments, a couple of really just awful, stupid decisions that he made. Yeah. But in the same, I hate harping on the foul thing, because again, what ultimately what I was getting to with Cat and why I'm happy that he would stay here and be here and continue to be a part of this is the usage. So where he may not necessarily materially improve a massive aspect of his game 10 years into his NBA career, how he's used and game planned for, I think is a huge point where Chris Finch, you got to manage the maturity.
Yeah.
Well, let's get him as Dane was talking about. He's going to be an outside shooting force. So what does that look like? And he's not the guy that's trying to take it to the hoop and be physical inside as much as he's truly going to maybe evolve as he continues to get older into more of just a true shooter. So it's not like he's getting better or growing in that respect.
Not feel you.
Be more mature, and then how Chris Finch deploys him in the frames of games, that's where there's probably still room for improvement.
See, I like what that's very well put, in my opinion. I like what they have it's like they have a smart point guard who, when it comes to beating people off the dribble, has seen his better days.
Yeah.
When it comes to cold-blooded three-point shooting, he's fantastic. He was fantastic in the playoffs when he had time to get a shot off. And when it comes to galvanizing and or being the cliched glue to keep all these kids together, Mike Conley sticks. Okay, I'm a Conley guy like Mo Star.
Is he an old head? Would we call him an old head?
He's right at the end. Yeah, right. He's that double T from Michael Jordan.
Trent Tucker, yeah.
Now, they have a superstar, a budding superstar, who I believe has arrived in Anthony Edwards. And now you get Karl Anthony Towns, who can hit threes and rebound, and his passing's gotten better. I don't think he's much off the dribble. His backup, Naz Reid, hits threes and is very adroit off the dribble for his size.
Yeah.
So they complement each other well. Now you got Stifle. It's when Karl Anthony Towns, and we discussed this somewhere middle of the season, I went to a game on a Friday night where it went to overtime against Sacramento. And I think Karl Anthony Towns may have gotten hurt in that game.
How cool is he, by the way?
Who?
Domantas Sabonis.
Hey, he's elite. I would take 3 of him right now and win the title 10 years in a row. But it was at the beginning of feeding Rudy Gobert in the key and watching him do his thing. And that was a very underrated facet of the season. It was about a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 game push. And quite honestly, Finch put us on this with his weekly appearances, because it was abundantly clear to me they were working on Rudy Gobert and his offensive skill set and just trying to get him comfortable with things. And as Chris would say, slow down and just handle it with aplomb. And he was okay. He was okay to good. Dane Moore, an hour and change ago, Dane Moore podcast at Dane Moore NBA, was like, with Rudy, I'd like to see more offense, more concerted offense. I'm not sure it's there, but it has to be some form of a threat if you want to pull people off Anthony. And with Rudy, it's Cat and Naz can back him up. So I like that little that little trifecta right there.
Yeah.
So then you get to, backup point. I didn't think Monte Morris was much, and he's a liability scoring. His defense isn't what I thought it would be. I could roll without Monte Morris.
I honestly didn't think that he offered much of any contribution to the team during his time here.
But with a full off season,
maybe that changes. Yeah,
maybe. The cat from UCLA,
McLaughlin.
No.
Jalen Clark.
Yeah, and I don't know much about him, with the exception of what I'm either told on or off the record. I'm just not sure he's a 3-and-D guy. I mean, I know he's a D guy. He was the Naismith College Basketball Player of the Year a couple of years ago. How do you analyze the line of delineation between having too much defense and not enough offense, or meshing the offense you have with the defense you have? Right.
Well, but you're bringing up Rudy, and that gets back into even a similar conversation with Cat at this stage of his career. If you want more offense out of Rudy, middle of the pack on offense this year, I want to be in the top 10. Just so you vocalize that, speak it into his existence. Yeah. Well, I didn't look at a Rudy. I didn't look at a Rudy to push us into the top 10 and run the offense in that direction. Now
but see, the problem is, as we saw in the Dallas series, you don't have to guard Rudy. And when you don't have to guard somebody, that means somebody's getting 2 every time. If you're going to play him as much as you're going to play him, and he's not Dennis Rodman. He's not athletic like Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
So he blocked shots better than Rodman, but I mean, Rodman trailed the break and ran the court as well as any big man in the history of the NBA. Robert Parrish is the best court running center in the history of the NBA. Rudy ain't that.
And offensive boards can be problematic at times. So overall, good on the glass.
So like when Dane goes down that road, I'm not feed Rudy 15 times a game and watch him do his dream shake, but there has to be some form of offensive threat with everybody on the court for this team, because McDaniels will shut you down. Edwards will shut you down when challenged enough. And Karl Anthony Towns is a defensive liability. Naz Reid is an average at best defensive player. Gobert is average at best offensively. So that's all of the meshing that, parts of it can be fixed this evening. Like this Houston point guard, the college basketball defensive player of the year, Jamal Shead. Yeah, I'm into him at 37 if he's available, because your point guard you use now, Mike Conley, he'll steal it in sneaky fashion. When Mike's 10 of 10 and feeling good at this stage of his career, he'll steal the ball from you.
Yeah,
he's not a 2-3 steal a game kind of guy. But
I think he was north of 1 this year, though. He was getting a take a game.
If you can get a take a game, that's a pretty good average. But defense is not his calling card. Leadership and 3-point shooting, those are the calling cards. So why not have the backup be a rock-solid, defensive-minded point guard like Jamal Shead? Because that's who he is. He's the best defensive guard in college basketball. He's tough as nails. 3-point shot needs work. When he went out in a Houston Duke game in the NCAA tournament, I was watching the game, and I couldn't even remember this was the guy. I mean, Houston was in hand and in command. My man goes down, Duke blows by them like they're tied to a post. That's how important he was.
Yeah.
So I like, but I like him as a backup.
Right.
Because you have identity with it. What's the identity? A defensive-minded junkyard dog type point.
Build on what you already do great.
And that would be 37-ish. So 27-ish, that Collier cat you mentioned, man, you kind of sold me on him a little bit.
Well, Collier's...
He hits threes, right?
I think he does, yeah.
I mean, if he hits threes, then I might be...
I mean, I watched all of his games, and I can, I don't want to bore you by going through his game logs and such.
Poor man's O.J. Mayo.
Yeah, but at 27, I think... getting back to that offensive conversation, if Cat's here at this stage of his career, you're growing via how he's used in the offense. The defensive identity with Jamal Shead is great at pick 37, as you're saying, but in the end, the fix to this offense has to come from that Mike Conley, that guard spot.
Yeah.
What's the ceiling for Anthony Edwards in terms of you can plan on high 20s a game from him, you can plan on 20 plus from Cat. Could we get more consistency out of McDaniels? And Rudy, I don't want to belittle him in this respect. I still kind of look like it's found money when he has those 16, 18 point games, right? Yep. I still kind of look at it that way. So I think it's got to come from the guard spot, whether it's Collier.
Yeah.
There's this other cat, Terrence Shannon out of Illinois. And you guys were talking about it earlier, too. You're either looking at 18-year-olds or guys that can already rent cars. I mean, this guy's almost 24 years old. Terrence Shannon is. And big-time scorer. He's a score-first guy. His NBA comparison, PA? Donovan Mitchell.
Terrence Shannon, you say?
Would you take Spida on this team?
Oh, come on. Where did he play?
Fighting Illini.
Hey.
He's Lavelle's guy. IMG Academy. So he's been heavily pampered for a large part of his youth playing experience. A bully of a lefty wing. He looks to rip the rim off, PA. How about I want a rim ripper. Let's get a rim ripper and Terrence Shannon out of Illinois. That's a name to watch tonight at 27.
It's like, is this NBA draft.net?
Yeah.
It's like 9 to noon runs it.
I know.
I mean, it's everything copyright common is duckies and bunnies. This is Barney the blue and green dinosaur with you got a guy they actually with a straight face wrote about somebody potentially going 27 and compared him to Donovan Mitchell. Are you kidding me with that?
I can't. Absolutely.
I mean, Don's one of the best in the NBA.
Well, this is, and I will say this. So just like any draft profile, they have strengths and weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
So
the weakness is their website.
So bumper to bumper, the thing freezes up on me every single time I go to the website.
I'm a hoop when I'm stealing when I'm researching, I'm a hoops hype guy.
Hoops hype is good.
Yeah, hoops hype pretty good, especially with that salary cap thing.
But if bumper to bumper was doing this, they would only read the weaknesses. We are 9 to noon. We only read the strengths. So we got a rim ripper and Terrence Shannon out of Illinois.
Okay.
Another guy that I really like, Jalen Tyson. He's out of Cal. He's a junior. He's only 21. Ooh. Versatile, crafty. He's a 6'7" shooting guard / small forward. His NBA comparison?
Yeah.
Desmond Bane.
Wait a second. We don't want players from the Pac-10, Pac-12.
Oh, it's true.
Because they don't play defense. Oh, wait, that's the NFL. Okay, cool. What was that guy's name again?
His name is Jalen Tyson.
Okay.
And he's 6'7", 220, wow. So he's beefy.
Yeah.
He shoots like Desmond Bane. He's versatile, crafty, strong, offensive-minded player with a good all-around game.
The Desmond Bane who plays for Dallas now?
Oh, he went from Memphis to Dallas?
My bad. That's Dante Exum. For some reason, I mix those guys up all the time.
No, I'm talking about Doogie's guy, Desmond Bane.
Desmond Bane's a dog.
Oh, 10 feet off Beal.
I was thinking Dante Exum. I think he's from Australia, but might be Tasmania.
He's a nightmare to defend, PA. Jalen Tyson, Cal, Junior, 6'7", 220 shooting guard, effective and willing passer and playmaker. Ooh. Nice soft touch in the lane, including a polished floater. He's got a polished floater.
Which means he can play for Flores in the 3-4, be a hybrid as a floater.
I always love that one.
So look for Jalen Tyson. Now, I did include him in the mix. You had Parker Fox on yesterday. I included Cam Christie.
That's that Tyson bit. I mean, that's I think that's an outside of the box name, is it?
Jalen, well, they're all in the mix.
Yeah.
I don't know how people, I mean, it's just like the NFL draft, right? But it's even, I think in some ways it's even tougher to predict because you're talking about fewer positions and a lot of these guys do so many of the same things, given obviously there's just 5 guys on the court. But all these guys are in the mix in the 20s. Collier is probably a guy that the Wolves, at one point he was a lottery pick. So the Wolves, if they are open to maneuvering, if they absolutely love Isaiah Collier, I would anticipate they may have to move up, that it would be one of those, oh, wow, he fell to 27 type moments, I believe, with Collier. But Jalen Tyson, some of these guys certainly in the mix. Cam Christie, 6'6", he's a sharpshooter.
Yeah.
He's long and athletic. Smart player. His brother's in the league. It's Max with the Lakers. So you got that little bit of family pedigree there. He's super young though. So, that's not a guy, and it was intriguing that you guys went down the road you did last hour with Dane. Is pretty good point. They're strapped. So you're talking about veteran, lower contracts and such of how you can build this thing. But you're not talking about taking a flyer on a guy. You want those Kyle Lowry types. You want those guys that can impact games immediately. I would look at some of these situations where a Collier, younger cat, he's a long play type of guy at 27, no doubt about it. But some of these 23, 24-year-olds that played 4 and 5 years of college hoops because of the COVID clip, These guys are going to come in and just from a maturity standpoint, be ready quicker in terms of just handling maybe the physical aspects of the game.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at a Cam Christie who doesn't turn 19, I think, until July or August.
July 24th.
He's going to be a guy in the mix at 27, but he's also going to be super young. He's going to be super young as well. So look out for Cam Christie. We can just take a Kentucky flyer every year if we want to. Rob Dillingham is a point guard there.
They got a Shepherd bit, too. And I don't know where he's supposed to be drafted, but I watched some Wildcat basketball, and I'm familiar with the guy you're talking about. Nathan Shepherd might be the cat's name, and I mean we're going to go way out of the box here, but there was a little.
It's what we do.
There was a little Tyler Hero to him.
Really?
When a couple of times I was watching last year. Might be wrong.
So somebody put him in the. Let me see here.
And this is assuming he's even coming into the draft. Bro, I just want to tank for Cooper Flagg.
Have you ever watched Cooper Flagg play?
I hadn't heard of Cooper Flagg until I turned on the radio this morning, and Brian Scalabrine was sharing a story on NBA radio of how Cooper Flagg's brother is living at his house for weight training and basketball training because he's like going to be a high pick too in a couple of years.
The only guy that I knew from Duke was the Filipowski cat.
Yeah.
Remember the tall kid? I think he either shoulder shoved or stiff armed somebody storming the court. Antonio Reeves, apparently somebody texted this in. Reed Shepard, there we go.
Oh, Reed Shepard,
Reed
not Nathan.
Shepard. Reed
Who's
Shepard.
Nathan Shepard, an NFL player. It was like a defensive lineman for the Jets, right?
Wasn't there a Nathan Shepard who played for the Wild?
Yeah.
Was a hockey player?
You're probably right.
28 minutes a game.
Wait, no.
He's a 50. He's
Nathan Shepard, Natalia Shepard went 6 of 6 from the line last night for the New York Liberty, but they still couldn't beat the Lynx out of the 40K each in the Commissioner's Cup. Just kidding.
Nate Shepard, Fort Hays State, draft nasty.
That's what it was.
Yes, it was.
See?
Drafted by the Jets, I think.
Right. And I mean, you're better.
Reed Shepard, 52% from 3, though, by the way.
Is he draft worthy?
Well, I don't even know if he's going to be in the draft.
Oh.
I have no idea whether he's declared or not.
Is he? Well, if he's declared.
We're on it.
See, I mean, if the 4 times I've watched him and I saw some Tyler Hero in him, well, that ain't 27. I mean, that's move on up.
Oh, here. Well, okay.
What we got?
Reed Shepard.
Oh, top 5.
Anticipated to go top 5.
Come on, man.
3rd overall to you. Is he even in the draft? Is he eligible?
I don't know,
well, yeah,
man.
he's going to go 3rd overall.
And figuring out the salary cap clip. I mean,
forget about that.
Like the spot rack and all that. So I'm on Hoops Hype right now. Holy cow! The Golden State Warriors have a salary cap into next year. Oh no, last year was 209, 173 into this year. We're 193 into this year. Let's see. Wow, Phoenix has nothing but old players. They're 203 million on the cap into this year. So we're we have like the second highest. So that means that we just can't do anything in free agency, can we?
No, we absolutely can't from a free agency standpoint, other than trading Karl Anthony Towns, which
we could have a good time looking at the top 100 player salaries and just figuring out where the ski masks are sold. I mean, there's just some unbelievable deals. Like Bradley Beal at like $50 million. I mean, Bradley's good, but
they're all making that. I mean, McDaniel's got what, 125 or 130 million on a rookie extension.
Tobias Harris gets $40 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, Tobias is 16-9 with no steals or blocks every game.
LFL albatross.
But maybe that's $40 million a year. This day and age. You talk about Ben Simmons and this ski mask. My man got $37 million last year. He's getting $40 this year, and he never plays.
Yeah, he never plays. How about Monty Williams walking? He gets out of Detroit. He's getting $65 million to stay home.
Wow.
I got one more talk back for you. So those are my names. Baylor Shireman is another name in the mix, but
Shireman's like 30.
He is. Here's a talk back from the Free IR radio app.
Jimmy K, King of the Rubes here. Well, it's pretty obvious we haven't had a good team in this town in a really long time. Because if your first idea is, hey, let's trade away our best players, you're an idiot. You know what teams are trying to do in the draft tonight? They're trying to find a Cat. They're trying to find a Jaden. They're trying to find a Rudy. Do you know what we're trying to do in a draft tonight? We're trying to find the next Jokic or Ginobili. That's what we're doing in a draft. You don't trade away your best players in order to try and find them again.
Oh, understandable. The king has spoken. The king has spoken from his metaphorical throne.
So the team will not be trading Karl Anthony Towns per the king of the Rubes.
Agreed. And yeah, everybody's trying to find Tony Parker, either first pick, second round, last pick, first round, something like that. Manu Ginobili from Argentina, second round. Nikola Jokic, second round. Who found Jokic?
I always love that one.
Conley, our current general manager. So my man's just sitting back at 37, ready to replenish this thing with some Euro he's going to find under a rock who's slightly overweight and has an opinion and nobody wants him. Then he turns into Nikola Jokic, and there they are. Speaking of drafts, the Minnesota Wild draft on Friday. We are your home for the Wild. And general manager Bill Guerin, joins us next.
You're listening to The Fan.
To noon.
You like that?
I would imagine it's dramatically easier assessing a pickle at the nickel or our man in the middle or the point of the point or your favorite forward, or the center of attention handling the NBA than it is like mocking up the NHL draft. Now, Bill Guerin, general manager for the Minnesota Wild, will be joining us very shortly. He's also the president of hockey operations. And, chatting about players specifically, we picked 13. The hardest of the hardcore ever to hardcore, like Johnny the Mouse Mickelson, captain of the 83 Wayzata Club hockey team. That's the most formidable club hockey team in the history of the state of hockey. In fact, so daunting at one point. Brian Trottier, Dennis Potvin, and Mike Bossy with the New York Islanders, they were playing at that time. They declined a neutralized scrimmage against the Wayzata High School club hockey team simply because of the man who wore the C. And, he can tell you more about Nathan McKinnon playing at Halifax and for the Moose than members of the McKinnon family. So when it comes to the pickle at the nickel or the center of attention, Wild at 13, we can mock Consta Hellenius.
Are you looking at the same thing I am?
Centerman Tapera. Yes, first one that came up. We got Beckett Seneke.
Well, what's tougher? Beckett
Seneke.
Organizing a prospect list or organizing a pronunciation chart when it comes to some of these Scandinavians and the Eastern European hockey players.
I think the hardest thing for that man right now, for Bill Guerin, who should be joining us shortly, is the two things you said, but I would go a step above and trumpet by still continuing to have the strength in both of your hands and arms to continue to chisel into a wall in your office. Just how many days are left with this buyout?
I always love that one.
These buyouts.
I always love that one.
365. We had 4. Man, I think we're like 369 days from puck purgatory coming to a conclusion.
I always love that.
I was listening to Tenna talk about it, and, this isn't something maybe we'd go, far down the road in terms of with the general manager, but Tenna was it's like you get over this buyout thing a year from now, and then so you're picturing like open doors and just running out into the beautiful pastures and
throwing money around,
jumping into a pool filled with $100 bills.
Yeah, make it rain.
And then, but he's also like, will Kaprizov want to be here? And so it's like you get out of this purgatory that you're talking about financially, and then you're already then trying to figure out how to pay and make Kaprizov happy. Would he want to be loyal here?
Yeah.
Would he want to stay here? Everybody's going to be obviously a year older, injury issues and all of those things. I mean, just because there's cap space, like I don't foresee Bill Guerin's job necessarily getting easier despite the added flexibility.
Oh, but I mean, the added flexibility, I mean, those are perceptions. And I mean, I understand the perception of would so-and-so be happy with the current situation, like a year and change from now. I don't know, because I don't know the guy well enough. But I think a fact is that you won't have those buyouts, so that's a fact. So you got money that you currently don't have. That's a fact. Where it goes, like Brock Faber eventually is going to need a wheelbarrow full of money. What's that thing, like $8 or $9 million a year, something like that? So yeah, I understand that. But man, I don't even know like who I'm going to pick in the 5th race on Thursday at Canterbury Park. How am I going to go to tripping on like what somebody thinks about the Minnesota Wild in 2 years? Somebody who knows a lot about the Wild is their general manager and president of hockey operations, Bill Guerin. What's going on, Billy G? It's Paul Allen. How you been?
PA, how are you, my friend?
Excellent, man. The summer's good. Are you off to the Sphere in Vegas for the draft, or do you stay back?
No, I'm here. I'm in Vegas.
Ooh. Oh, so we get.
I'm in Vegas. It is. And when I say it's hot, it is hot.
Damn, man. So what's it like?
Hot.
110, 115?
110.
No humidity, right?
I don't know what it is, but it's hot.
So it's 8:39 in the morning there, man. What the hell why are you on 9 to noon at 8:39 in the morning? We could have like taped this after I mean, you need your rest, man. This is we're three.
I just had breakfast. We have meetings kicking off here in about I can't even see my clock.
About
21 minutes.
Do you have time while you're there to do anything fun? Like, or is it just all work?
No, I mean, yeah, I could. I guess if I like to gamble, I could gamble a little bit and do this and that, but I don't. This is primarily a work trip, and there's a lot going on, and I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not going to be taking in a show or anything like that, or gambling. It's just. I'm not a gambler.
Well, I understand that. Yeah, I understand that. But my point is in downtown they have something called the Mob Museum, and have you seen it? I went through it one time. It supposedly takes like 2.5, 3 hours. I went through it. It's nice and air conditioned in there. Al Capone, this Bugsy Siegel, that. It's I just in knowing you, getting to know you better, but knowing you the way I do. And I just think you would enjoy the Mob Museum, man, as a distraction from Friday night.
I would love that. Oh, I would love that. That's right up my alley. I love the true crime, mafia, Godfather stuff. It's great.
And this is the true crime stuff. I mean, this isn't the like Goodfellas, which is super cool, and some of these mob movies.
Yeah. No, this is the real deal.
Right. Okay. So, and it's air conditioned, and it will give.
I don't know. I don't think I'm going to have time this trip, but maybe during the season when we come back.
Okay.
I will.
All right. Well,
thanks for the heads up.
If we were to play the tit for tat game, I just set you up with the Mob Museum and the trip of a lifetime, which means you're going to set up the listening audience with what's going to happen at 13. Right, Mr. Guerin?
Right. You know what? Here's what's going to go down.
Yeah.
There's going to be a player there that we like, and we're going to pick him.
Really?
Or we're going to try to move up, or we're going to try to move back.
Right.
Or we're going to trade it, or I guess those are the options.
Yep, fair options.
Anything can happen.
But
anything can happen.
Very pragmatically and from a dreamscape standpoint for Wild fans, you laid it out beautifully, Mr. GM. But seriously, how do you feel about your spot? Like, I mean,
I like it.
I read stuff and you're like, there are X amount of blue chippers and stuff like that. Okay, I read it, but I mean, more than those writing about it. Why do you like your spot?
Because that's where we are.
I understand.
You know what? Would we like to be picking first, second, third? Of course we would. But you know what? We're not. We're 13th, and we're going to get a good player. And everything that Jed Brackett and his group tell me that there are going to be good players available in that area, and we're going to pick one. And it's exciting every year. These are all like when you get into the first round, these kids are all good players. They're all legit. They're probably, when you get to the beginning of the first round, 1 through 5, they're probably closer to playing than the rest of the group. But you never know. We're betting on these young kids to, how they're going to develop, how they're going to be able to handle NHL life, how they're just going to turn out as NHL players. So it's really, it's really a wait and see. But we're going to get a good player.
Bill, bolstering your player pool. I mean, like organizational depth. Are for the future, are you guys better set up with forwards than defensemen? And is that a focus Friday and Saturday?
We're definitely deeper at forward than defense. It wasn't planned that way. We picked the best player available. We don't really go position specific. It's different. Like when people watch, when we watch the NFL draft, they're picking players to insert into their lineup immediately.
Right.
So you can pick position specific. Like if we were drafting at 24 and we needed a right shot defenseman, then we would draft a right shot defenseman and put him in the lineup. That's not the case. We draft a kid, and we got to let him bake a little bit. Just he's off going to back to junior, to college, back to Europe, wherever to develop, and then we'll get him down the road. But what it becomes is an asset, and if you need something immediately, you can use that asset to get that.
Can I?
I hope I made sense.
Oh, you did. Do you mind if I ask you about a defenseman who I think will be taken in the first round?
Yeah, go ahead.
Denver Pioneers Zeev Buium. I remember seeing him in the championship game. Wrote his name down. Really, I couldn't pick him out of a 2-person lineup standing next to PK Subban until that moment. But I liked what I've seen. I liked what I read. What do you think about that kid?
He's very good. And in that game in particular, he was excellent. He played. He was young, a true freshman, put up 50 points, which is difficult to do. Big minutes. He's definitely he's not huge. He's just about 6 feet. But he's a good skater, moves the puck really well. He can play on I would probably say he could play on your first power play. More or less, he's probably a second PP guy, but he's a very, very good player. We'd be happy to grab somebody like that.
You guys have 3 good goalies, at least 3. Whether it's that or something else, does it make sense to move something for more picks, or are you good as is?
We're good as is right now, but listen, if an offer came through for a player that we felt could make us better today and in the future, then we would absolutely look at it and probably do it. But not at this point in time. I'm not interested in weakening our team just to get more picks. It's, we've picked a lot in the last 5 years, and I think we're okay with the number of prospects we have, with the number of picks we have. So I really don't want to weaken our team just to do that. But I mean, I can't say never.
Bill Guerin, GM and president of Hockey Ops for the Minnesota Wild in Las Vegas. Nice enough to join us, 8:47 a.m. his time, 10:47 in the cornfields. NHL round 1 is Friday, and the Wild pick 13th. Bill, 369 days from now, the Parise Suter buyouts are complete. How much and in what ways will that change how you run the team?
It won't change it at all. I'm going to operate the same way we've always operated. The big difference is we're going to have a lot more cap space to deal with.
Right.
But I think what these cap hits have forced us to do is, find value in different types of players, do a lot of homework, do your due diligence and on each and every guy, and making sure you get the right people. I think it's forced us to get the most bang for our buck, and we're going to continue to do that no matter what. I think it's a good way to operate, and hopefully with a lot of cap space, then it will help improve our team.
First time we've chatted in quite some time, and it's dated in that it was about a month ago. But I've just wanted to ask you this: was it tough moving on from Darby? I know he landed with Bruno, with Nashville, but he was here a decade and a half.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, it was. It really was, because Darby's a friend.
Yep.
Listen, I know everybody in Minnesota loves Darby, and if you just say Darby in Minnesota, everybody knows who you're talking about, and that's for good reason. He's an A+ human being, and somebody I love the guy. He's just as good as they get. Just a good, honest person and hard worker and a good hockey guy. This is a business move, and Darby and I had a great talk, and and his family are just cream of the crop people. Love them.
I appreciate you sharing like that. That was cool, man. What did you think of Marco Rossi's season and expected improvement into next season?
I thought he had a great year. The thing about Marco is that he continues to get better and better. And, 20 goals in this league is not a small feat. And for a kid that's been through what he's been through physically and mentally and health-wise and all that stuff, it was really nice to see. He's got great character.
Bill, in what ways will a full off season in training camp with Hines at the helm help next season?
I think it'll just give John a lot more time to implement a lot of the different things that he wasn't able to last year. We really only scratched the surface with what he wants to get accomplished with the guys, but I think the biggest thing is getting his message across of how he wants things to run on a daily basis. The training aspect, the expectations of your fitness level, how we're going to work in practice, what's expected of you, what your role is going to be, all those things, and then he's probably going to just start implementing. The tactical stuff, the forechecks, the neutral zones, the defensive zone, the power, all that stuff. But that takes time, and I think John's a great communicator, and he's had a lot of great talks with players one-on-one and his lines and groups. So I think there's just a lot of he'll give the guys a lot of clarity.
I'm assuming if Kaprizov visits his family in Russia, it's not like it was a year and change ago, right? I mean, do you still have to sweat his return if he visits his family in Russia? Like the last time to get him back, you had to sneak him through the United Arab Emirates, then hide him in the Louvre, and sneak him back to Minnesota. That's not the case anymore, right?
Yeah, how did you know he was at the Louvre? We hit him right behind the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, Kevin Gorg told me, but don't tell anybody.
Oh, yeah, Gorgie, he's a big museum guy. No, I'm not worried about it. And I'm hoping Krill's having a great off season. It's been a while for him, so it's good.
Do you think Faber wins the Calder Thursday? And if he doesn't, would you be disappointed?
I think he should. If he doesn't, I'll be disappointed, but I won't. Hey, look, regardless of any trophy or anything like that, I know what we have in Brock, and he's just a special player, special kid.
Fantastic. Time for two more. How are Foligno and Spurgeon bouncing back from their surgeries, Bill?
They're good. They will be on time and ready to roll. And they're doing great.
And free agency starts Monday. Is the start of that more about finding outsiders to help, or extending and or taking care of the guys here that you like?
Both. It really is. It's both. If you can improve your team that day, you definitely want to do it. It's a time where you can, like you said, bring back the guys extend the guys that we feel that can help us win down the road or help us get to a certain level. And there's a lot of players that we like, and we're doing our work, on the free agency market right now. So we'll be ready.
You're a multiple cup champion. What'd you think of Florida up 3-0? Then it's 3-3. I mean, I'm like on Monday, I'm like, how does Florida win? Honestly, how do you overcome this anxiety attack? And then they won.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Honestly, you have to trick yourself you just have to make yourself believe that you're okay and you're the better team and things are going to be all right and you're just going to go out and play. I mean, the damage was done. Like, just hey, look, we got nothing to lose. Let's go play. And I haven't watched that much of the final in years, and it was the best hockey. It was the best final I'd seen, most exciting. Yeah. In a long time.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was fantastic. As are you. Enjoy Las Vegas. Mob Museum for 2.5 hours if you need some air conditioning. And we'll catch up sometime this summer, okay?
That sounds great, buddy. Thank you.
See you, man. Bill Guerin, GM and president of hockey operations for your Minnesota Wild. Yeah, let's see. We got Isaiah Collier on one side.
Yep.
So we got Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday settled. Of your pick six.
Yeah.
For the Wolves this evening, would you say Isaiah Collier? Like if you had to hone in on one,
I think he's the guy that we get sniped.
Right.
I feel like we get sniped on Collier.
Right. All right. Well, we need a name for tonight because I got a name for Thursday and now I got a name for Friday.
Well, I'm all in on this cat from Cal, Jalen Tyson.
Really?
This guard, Jalen Tyson, that I was talking about. He's 6'7". He's an absolute just shooting machine.
What
strong
position?
as hell. He's going to be a shooting guard / forward.
All right, Jalen. So 9 to noon. Is there anything else we can do for you? Jalen Tyson is the intel for tonight. Tomorrow, it's either Jamal Shedd, point guard Houston, or Cam Christie, guard Golden Gophers. And Friday, it's Zeev Boeheim, championship defenseman from your Denver Pioneers. This is 9 to noon.
And
Hit it, Cam.
Welcome back. It's News du Nord, brought to you by the Casino at Canterbury Park. You got poker, blackjack, and table games all year round. It's a blast. Good people working there. Always a good environment, good aura, if you will. And you're having sips at chips, and you're over tipping Derek Allen. It's an absolute blast. Oh, yeah. They also have live racing. So get to CanterburyPark.com. Learn more on all event-related details. The NBA draft is tonight. Coverage starts at 6:30 p.m. The actual draft, I believe, kicks off at 7. You've heard names being thrown around. I got another one for you. I'm absolutely in love. Tyler Kolek. Mm-hmm. He's a guard out of Marquette, PA, and he makes the game look incredibly easy. He's scrappy. He's left-handed.
Yeah.
How about that? I mean, if you're trying to replace Mike Conley's a southpaw too, isn't he?
Yes.
I think he is. One of the top facilitators in the country.
Love it. And
a leader on the court with great vision and basketball IQ. In terms of basketball, he's Mensa, PA. Excellent free throw shooter, 88%. He's north of 40 from deep as well. a winner, right? Marquette back on the map is a high-end college program. And, and Tyler Kolek, one of those. And he's a little bit older, too. He's 23. Mm-hmm. So you're getting some maturity right out of the gates into the game. So whether it's him, I talked about the rim ripper, Terrence Shannon out of Illinois. Love the Jalen Tyson cat. I mean, you cannot go wrong at 27. There's gold to be found. And but you got to wait a little bit at pick 27, Atlanta. There's a couple of French kids. I think Alexandre Sarr is one of them, and then there's another one.
I saw the names.
But it's the Hawks into Wizards, and then Houston. Houston might walk away with that Reed Shepherd cat from Duke, but it's just the first round because the NBA is trying to maximize eyeballs. And so round 2 will be tomorrow night, where the Wolves pick 27 tonight, pick 37 tomorrow. And I'm just kind of, I like drafts. I like sitting down. And,
me too.
All jokes aside with these players that I clearly have not watched since their AAU days with any frequency, I do like learning about these kids, where they came from, how people view them into the game, and then just kind of watch that mature as at some point we start drafting for LFL, and I'm trying to fill out the back end of my roster with some threes, some steals, and some blocks. But the draft's going to be fun tonight, PA, and the Wolves have a chance to get better.
I should have put some time into the show. But Tim Connolly, when he was general manager for the Denver Nuggets, just what he did. Nikola Jokic was drafted by him. I mean, that's the greatest. That might be the greatest second round draft pick in the history of the NBA.
I would guess that it is indeed the best second round draft pick.
If it's not now, it's en route, but I can't see how it's not. He drafted Jamal Murray. I believe he drafted Jamal Murray, but that would be a first round, just to see what my man did in the second round. That he also might have been responsible for Bones Highland. So that that would be a first round pick.
Remember my big Bones Highland opinion a year ago?
Yeah, I mean,
What
it was
a disaster.
It was of the Conley variety. I know he drafted Michael Porter Jr.
Technically, he drafted Donovan Mitchell too, I think, because Mitchell was drafted by the Nugs and then sent. Maybe the draft day trade. Maybe you don't count that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's had a good run. He's had a good run in the draft, and he's got to have a good run again tonight. I've seen rumors swirling that they could be a team that's on the move. What does that mean? I love it. Bill Guerin laying out the options just like any GM. Yeah, we could stay at that spot. Yeah, we could move back. Yeah, we could move up. Maybe we just trade out and don't pick at all. So that's similarly, that's what we're looking ahead to in tonight's draft. How much of that Commissioner's Cup game did you watch last night? I saw the Minnesota Lynx are your 2024 Commissioner's Cup champions after a 94-89 victory at the New York Liberty last night. Here's Cheryl Reeve. You got to talk about us now. You've got no choice, she said after the team won. We don't really care what you think, except for right now when we get to say to you, you've got to talk about us. We just beat a super team. You know how hard that is to do? Yeah. Because you guys love your super teams. That's all you want to talk about, but we just beat a super team. Let's talk about it.
I don't like when Cheryl does that. And I know Cheryl well enough, A, to say that publicly, B, to say it to her and defend myself if I had to. It's not the first time she's done that, but she'll get a little wound up sometimes about lack of attention to the WNBA or to her team. And that's not cutting the nose off despite the face like so many are doing around the WNBA, complaining about the attention or the money being made by a certain individual for the Indiana Fever, recognizing I'm not watching your league as much as I'm watching your league if I don't watch the NCAA tournament and Caitlin Clark, and I want to watch her. So I've watched like 4 Fever games. I mean, and I watch her highlight. So she I'm a lemming, all right? She pulled me in. And
yeah, but that's what the league has been asking for and begging for 2+ decades, by the way. They've wanted your attention for 20+ years.
Right.
And now they have it.
Yeah, and they're complaining about it. Right. Yeah, exactly. And that, but what are we talking about again? But I'm not in unless I get bit by her.
Right.
So then I get bit by her and Reese, and it's authentic. I mean, I've watched 2 Fever and Sky games. It's authentic. These ladies don't like each other. There's one lady who's bitter about something and another lady who's bitter about another thing. It's authentic. It is bird magic authentic. with rivalry.
Yeah.
And and what you said is I can't exactly figure it out, but there's a side of it that it's like if you say, all right, well, I got bit by this. I'm watching games. Now I'm watching the local team.
Right.
Like I've watched 5, 6, 7 of their games. That people actually will have the audacity to say, well, what took you so long?
Right.
Okay, well, yeah, they're more physical than maybe you thought.
Yep.
They're faster than maybe you thought. Okay, don't turn people off, man. Just be happy that more people are watching your game and watching your league. And I'm a basketball guy through and through and always have been. Okay, that's what it took me to get in. Now I'm in. Don't turn me off. Don't push me away by being like, now you got to talk about us. Well, now, no. And by the way, the Liberty are not a super team. Okay, it's with Ionescu and Brianna Stewart.
Brianna Stewart, yeah.
They're and Jonquel Jones is not part of an MB3. Okay, I've watched enough to say that. But that's it's a good defensive team. Lynx are a good defensive team. Collier doesn't get the national attention that a lot of these ladies do. That's fine.
It's the way that I would agree with her. I think that the league is set up with Las Vegas, New York. It's kind of a top heavy league right now.
Right.
I mean, there's maybe 2 to 4 like bona fide squads.
Yep.
And then there's a bunch of teams, and maybe the Lynx are ascending into a mainstay. But for the last couple of years, the Lynx have been one of those teams where, this 2-game stretch goes the right way.
Yeah.
The entire outlook of the season looks different. There's a lot of mid-lane in the mix there.
And see, I would have no idea that was fact because I wasn't bit by Caitlin Clark,
right?
Who subsequently got me bit by the entire league. So now I actually watched part of a game on something called Ion the other night just to see what Seattle looks like. Because the Lynx...
You have Ion, but you don't have Bally's. What a weird world.
I know. I'm an elite criminal mind's mind, but I can't follow Royce Lewis hitting balls 500 feet.
You're watching Agatha Christie TV crime shows on A&E, but you can't watch the Twins and Diamondbacks.
So this is a different version because Cheryl has gone down this road before.
Yeah, chip on the shoulder.
I think this is a different version, though. I think you nailed it, man. I don't think it's like, hey, all you fools who followed the NBA and the Wolves for the Western Conference Finals, now you have to watch us. Now you have to think about us. Now you have to talk about it. That's how I initially thought it was because she's done that before.
Yep.
You boxed me up, at least from a gut feeling standpoint. You boxed me up. In that, what's up, Wobble? In that, you got Liberty with those two. You got Asia Wilson, the best player in the league, with Las Vegas. Kelsey Plum's top 10-ish, top 15-ish. And it's not an LA market. Yeah, that you laid that out beautifully.
I think, though...
have you watched them?
The Lynx, a couple of games, yeah.
I mean, if somebody were to grandstand and say, well, that 6.5 to 1, 7 to 1 that they are right now to win the championship is the value of all value ever to value, I would agree with you. I watched them kill the Las Vegas Aces. A day we had, you were gone, a day we had Cheryl Reeve on. They killed them.
Yep.
They blew by that team last night and put 10 on them. And then Liberty, Brianna Stewart's the bomb. I mean, we're not breaking news here for those who follow. She's the absolute bomb. The Ionescu girl, she's good. She fell off a little late, got a little too emotional with some things. But the defense with and the 3-point shooting with Cheryl's team, this stuff is legit, man.
Well, she's a badass coach.
Yeah, I know she is. She's really cool to watch on the sideline.
I mean, she's female pop, right? Like all this title winning, gals get old, and then what's next, right? I mean, she was gifted, or she developed this little dynasty type squad.
Yeah,
there's no way that she's going to come back into the mix. And
What'd you
now
say, Wobble?
5-6 years later,
facts.
But it's
got an author in studio.
The chip on the shoulder thing. It's the same thing with soccer, man. I've seen it for so long. It's like, watch our show, watch our sport, watch our games, and then you go and then you watch and they're like, well, you don't really understand soccer. I mean, you can't really be a fan of that. I mean, there's this protectionist, there's some gatekeeping that goes on in American soccer, which has been a second-tier daycare sport for my entire life. I just happen to grow up playing it and love it.
Yeah.
I think you still see some of that with the WNBA. More people are watching, but you gotta work your way into the club in that respect, in terms of you're not a real fan yet. You're just watching you watched a few fever games, PA. Get real. You don't know what the hell you're talking about with this league.
Right.
A lot of gatekeeping with these secondary sports who at the same time are begging for you to be part of it.
Well, that's very intriguing the way you put that, because if you're like a Lynx season ticket holder, it is your favorite sport.
Yeah.
Your son or your daughter have made it their favorite sport. They're wearing game-worn Colliers, game-worn Carltons, game-worn Bantams from days gone by. And now all of a sudden, more people are paying attention to it. It feels like you've lost exclusivity.
Right.
So therefore,
you knew that indie band before anybody else did. Then they got popular, and now you're annoyed by it.
And then the next human nature related response for many would be to lash out and tear them down, in essence, to get them away from what you had all to your own, or at least you felt you did.
Yeah, you're a casual.
Well, let's take it a step farther. Say all the teams here, outside of the Lynx, the core four, Vikings, Twins, Wolves, Wild. Well, say it was like Boston for 3 years, and they just started winning everything. How would we feel?
We'd be loving it.
Oh, it'd be awful. Are you kidding me? We're used to being part of the loser covenant. We would not act.
Well,
we don't want people talking about us. We only want to be the ones talking about us.
Well, every time, and we still see it too, right? Like post Minneapolis Miracle, they're talking about us on the national networks. Oh, look at what they said about us on First Take. Can you believe what Stephen A. thinks about the Wolves? Yeah. We haven't been in this spot in years, and suddenly now we're offended with Kendrick Perkins jumping off the bandwagon like that ever mattered in the first place.
That's awesome.
You know what? Oh, I can't believe they got Draymond Green on the TNT show, talking all that smack about Rudy. How dare they? Challenging our Midwestern sensibilities. So yes, again, there's the gatekeeping element. Let's just brush the chips off our shoulders. Let's win a bunch of games.
Yep.
I'm with Cheryl that I think this is a top-heavy league, and I think the Lynx are really, really forcing themselves into the conversation, and it's been a great season so far. Hoist that cup and take that cash.
All right. Well, for those of you within the exclusivity covenant, that bandwagon, thanks for letting me on. Hopefully you're going alphabetically, which means I get to sit near the front. And there are two things that I've noticed that all of you have known for 20 years. And I'm just finding them out. Why? Because I'm a lemming. Is the consistency of free throw making in a WNBA game destroys the NBA.
Really?
Destroys it. They make them all. Last night they were 29-32 between two of them.
Kelly McBride never misses a free throw.
Nobody ever misses free throws in this league.
We're in the NBA Finals if we were shooting like that.
29-32 were these ladies last night in the Commissioner's Cup. Secondly, and I've seen this before, they rarely complain about foul calls. Rarely do they. There may be a glare. Yeah, they may be a glare. Some of us have gotten that in the kitchen before.
And that league is physical as hell.
What? I know, a lot more physical than I thought.
Yes.
Well, how dare you say that? It's been like that for 20 years.
It is.
Get off the bandwagon.
I don't know if because the men's game is more of a drive and dunk game, an aerial attack game, and there's not too many dunkers in the WNBA, but it's a physical. I'm sitting. These ladies are just putting their bodies in each other, falling.
So you watched Sunday, didn't you? Sky in Indiana. You watched a little, didn't you?
I watched a little bit of a lot of NBA.
Well, that one Sunday with Reese.
I'm sorry, the W.
Yeah, the W. But the glare, the scowl, the point being made with just eyes, which are God's gift to women. You see that a lot in the WNBA, but you don't see them like "Ow!" and then just waiting around, and it's a 5-on-4 the other way, like going Karl Anthony Towns on it. You just don't see that frequently in the W.
No, you don't. You don't get that resting bee face, very often.
Oh, geez.
They just get up and go on about their business.
Yeah,
but
the resting butt face. Yeah, I understand. That's the voice of Star Tribune columnist Lavelle E. Neal III. Not only does he write enterprising columns, enterprising stories, and was a 2-decade beat writer for Minnesota Twins baseball, he's also an author. And the book that we haven't talked much about is either out or coming out.
It's out, baby.
It's out, and we're going to talk about that and much more with a Wobble Wobble when we return to KFAN.